Hey everyone, Duke here, and today we are going over the first Master Salvation's Edge challenge, Scenic Route. This challenge is best visualized as follows. Team A will be the team that gets the Overload Minotaur in the third room of their rotation. This team must not kill this Overload Minotaur, as this will cause the challenge to fail, and instead you will have the opposite team, this being Team B, that gets the non-champion Minotaur, to have them kill that Minotaur, which will then spawn a Hydra back by Team A. Killing this Hydra will open the next door for Team B, as it does in previous rooms and does normally, and the fourth room will now open for Team B, which will have an overload in it that must be killed to spawn the Tormentor in the middle to progress the encounter. So in other words, one team is going to have to go one extra room than normal for each rotation of this encounter. Let's talk about some Master-specific things before we talk about strategy. On Master, there will be a ton of enemies upgraded to mini-boss level for this encounter. The Minotaurs and Hydras, along with some Scions and Hobgoblins, will all be mini-bosses and therefore much tankier and more threatening. Additionally, all non-explosive Harpies will now have arc shields. Enemies will also be doing quite a bit more damage in general on Master, as we are capped at 2010 power in a 2030 power encounter, meaning we are at 20 underpowered at absolute best here. You're also going to want to take a look at the weekly surges. If you're running this week, the week I'm uploading this video, they are currently Solar and Void, but they will likely be something different if running in future weeks. However, many of the same things I recommend will still apply and be good anyway. As for weapons, having a Warlock with Divinity and Cenotaph for both teams of 3 was extremely beneficial, more so for the heavy generation than its overload or debuffing capabilities, but those were also greatly appreciated. I personally ran Xenophage as my blast through everything quick weapon of choice, along with Indebted Kindness for AoE ad clearing and chain breaking the Harpy shields. I then used Midnight Coup to have a way to personally stun the overloads if needed, but I didn't use it much throughout the encounter other than for that. Song of Flame with Healing Grenade paired with Speaker's Sight to turn them into healing turrets did insanely great work here, but anything that will help you stay alive and can be used on the move will work wonders. If using this build, just be sure to use Ember of Benevolence as a fragment, as that is the key to getting extremely high uptime on your healing turrets. One other small thing I'd recommend if running Xenophage is a Solar Holster mod. This mod will help a lot with the slow reload of Xenophage and lowers the amount of times that I pulled out Xeno with no ammo significantly. Now let's talk about the encounter itself. I'd recommend breaking into teams of 3 as you normally would, and this encounter flow is again going to be pretty much normal to start other than the added enemy difficulty. The first change is going to come when you're starting to enter into the third rooms. Many times it will be possible to peek into this third room without actually going into it. This is going to be helpful because if you do get the overload in that room, you can't kill it anyway, and you really don't want to be stuck in a room with an enemy that you cannot kill. And additionally, and maybe even more beneficially, if nobody actually goes past the plane of where that third room is on your team, when the opposite team kills their regular Minotaur, which will then spawn the Hydra on your side, it will then spawn in the room that you're currently in with limited to no enemies, versus in the room with a whole lot of adds and an overload that you cannot kill, which will make this part a lot easier. Also, the team that kills that final Hydra can then immediately head back to the middle early from that room, rather than again being stuck in a room with an overload that you cannot kill, which allows for a faster kill on the Tormentor when it spawns, as half the team will already be there immediately. The other part of this encounter that you're going to want to organize is knowing who will be going to each of the starting plates. If you didn't already know, these starting plates will be where you kill the 2 overloads in this encounter, so keeping track of these rooms is essential with the way this encounter ends up changing due to the challenge. There's a number of ways this can be done, but the way we found easiest was to keep track of the first room that we killed the overload in. Then, after we kill the second overload, that team would go back to that room after helping kill the second Tormentor middle, while the other team went back to that first room that we had tracked earlier where the first overload was killed. Using the perspective of coming into the room for the first time from the raid flag helped to orient our callouts, but feel free to use whatever works for you. The last thing to mention is that the resonance is going to be even more important than normal, as things will tend to take longer than normal due to being on Master and having to go through to an extra room. Most people probably already do this, but sending the third non-plate person out to the middle to grab extra resonance that spawns there, after ensuring to help clear the initial ad spawns to make sure everybody stays alive and we can get those plates started, will help ensure that all 3 people can get more resonance, with the plate people grabbing the resonance that will be spawning in their respective rooms. And that's all for today. I hope this video was helpful, and note that I will be trying to include some Master Challenge helps on my stream over the coming weeks in between my teaching runs of normal mode, so come on by. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.